the DORK podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast. Ryan Davey. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick Dude. He is Razmataz Von Dazmataz. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Hello.
Nice.
Was that the most underappreciated delivered line of the time when they're in Animal House, when the dean's got everyone in the room and he gets to Dorfman? Yeah. Mr. Dorfman. And he goes, hello.
It's well done. Yeah. It's up there. It's pretty good. So we actually have some stuff to talk about. This is sort of like a minor show announcement, even though we don't really know exactly what's happening yet. But
most of the time, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But,
so there may be some changes on the horizon to Hashtag Dork. I know what you're thinking. You're like, God damn it. No, this is my favorite podcast. There can't possibly be changes.
Yep.
I like things the way that they are. No, we're both going to continue to do the podcast. But as Real Big Fish once said, sell out. And that's what we're going to attempt to do. And so, as you know, we're under the Odyssey umbrella. And the long and the short of it is we might end up doing 2 episodes a week. And it might be similar to what you get now, but split into 2. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. But listen, I think it could help us. It's at least worth a shot. So what we're kicking around right now, and this could change next week, but what we're kicking around right now is that This Week in Dork, Should I Have Bought This, Davey's Video Game Minute might be 1 episode. And then the topic du jour is a separate episode. It also allows us to spend a little bit more time on each one. And all we're doing is begging you to download both and steal people's phones that aren't looking and download both. We need downloads. It's a downloads business. Downloads are what gives me heat in my house. So we're underwater right now if you guys don't download these downloads.
We are completely upside down on this podcast right now. And selfishly, again, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to grow the podcast. It's an opportunity for us to do a little bit of different things. And again, the freedom to kind of play with the format a little bit, but also listen, I want Odyssey, I want EEI, I want all these places to keep making money too. And they're going to pay some bills too. So they're going to put some ads on these things, but hey,
all right,
listen,
no good.
Baby, don't just sign that paper tonight. She said, but I can't work in fast food all my life.
No,
Richard.
The radio play what they want you to hear, which is the Rich Keefe Show, weeknights at 6. Abbreviated often because of games. No, and that's the thing. And so Joshua, very kind of Joshua, and a lot of you guys that are in the chat often, Nathan, Christopher, we appreciate all that. But the podcast, I think the idea of pay for podcasts is outrageous. So I never want anybody to pay to listen to the podcast at all. But if there's a way for us to make a couple of shekels on the side while doing it, while it still is free, we have to at least explore that avenue. And the higher ups were like, hey, we like where you're at right now. We like where this podcast is going, what you guys have been doing. But for us to kind of we need more. And so rather than being just sort of an unrealistic goal of each episode needs to have all these downloads. Well, if you have 2 a week, now suddenly, theoretically, maybe you sort of double what your monthly output is. And I think we've kind of been in this exact same formula for a long time. So I'm actually kind of interested to see what something different would bring to the table.
And it's interesting to me too, because like you said, I think our episodes, last time you told me, we do fine in terms of the other podcasts at EEI. The problem is they're doing 2, 3, 4 episodes a week.
Yeah, it's crazy. Get these listed. They're like, here's what the total downloads are. And I'm like, we have 4 episodes a month. How are we supposed to compete with some of these other ones?
Right. We're people who have 30. It's not
more. So it's crazy. So I think,
and this is not to say not to say that anyone who's listening to this has to give us any money. You don't. You can.
Spite Bucks.
Spite Bucks.
Yeah, that's true. We have asked for money before. It was Spite Bucks, and that was just to spite Jason Rossi, and we spited him pretty good, and we were able to buy 2 video games with that. So I think what my idea is to do the one sort of news, and that'll just sort of be not to steal news dump from Mac and Goo, but basically to do This Week in Dork and just have that be a self-contained thing. Whereas the episode title, and this might only be important to me, the episode, so today's episode is 375. So whatever topic du jour, that'll be easy to go back and find because it'll be 376, 377, 378. but there might be
Yep.
another one that you all. So just subscribe and fucking download. That's really.
I just said it to just subscribe to the shit. You know, that doesn't cost you anything, and then it'll just download on your phone. Every time we put out a new episode, you got it.
I think that's great. Of course, next week we might come back and be like, listen, that blew up in our face, and
That blew up in our face. Actually, we are both unemployed.
we are done. They hated the idea so much, and so we have actually decided to tuck tail, and we're changing the format to Scandals and Animals, and we'll be on once a month.
If it bleeds, it leads. You know, we're gonna do some death.
Yes.
You know?
So we do appreciate the support because the podcast has certainly grown. We have our diehards out there. It is funny because you'll see like certain topics kind of spike and then certain topics not. And like my hope all along is, regardless of the topic, you still want to fucking listen. You might miss a fucking silly goose moment if you don't like the topic, but this way, at least like this week in dork thing, like that's ever changing. And if you didn't watch the movie or the show, maybe you're in on that type of thing. Anyway,
I'm switching hats. I didn't like the hat I had going today.
Hat switch. I noticed you did a hat switch as well. So over the weekend, we were on the Bright Side Home Theater podcast. Both Davey and I were. DJ, who is the main host over there, he did a 25-hour live stream, which was incredible. And so, but he had different guests on all the time. So Davey did an hour, I did an hour, and I was watching some of your show, and I could have sworn you also did a hat change.
I did. It's the thing. So the problem is, and this is going to get a little technical with you. So like the worst lighting you can do unless you're going for like some sort of dramatic effect in all of photography, videography, is overhead lighting.
Yeah.
And that's all I got. Or you got that nice light that goes, I'm going to get one of those that goes on the screen.
It's a little circle right above it.
Yeah. So I need a ring light on my, because right now I'm getting like top down lighting. So there's like shadows on my face. Like the hat gets all blown out. So I was wearing this beautiful 47 brand Bruin Centennial hat, but because of the overhead lighting, you couldn't see the logo. And so I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to switch it. But I need a new webcam. I need a new ring light. And those, they're not expensive. You can get some.
Oh, the ring light's not. Oh, the ring light you can get.
But I need better lighting in here. I think that's my next move. But I did so that was fun. And I did get to talk shop a little bit because I know you and DJ have done some work in your place. And I was like, he's like, what are you doing there? And I'm like, look, I've moved so much that like I can't get like a year. Like I can't get a permanent setup anywhere. But I would love to get like my desk is pretty big, but I would like to get one of those like editing desks with like studio monitors and like something behind me, like just to zhuzh it a little bit,
If you guys are into home theater at all, I would highly recommend the Brightside Home Theater podcast. He does a great job each week. They break down like movies and shows in both. Like how is it? Like what's the story like? But more importantly to them, it's like what did it sound like? What did it look like? That kind of shit. So, and if you have any questions for that stuff, that I went right to him, and that's where I got the setup that I have now, and I have zero complaints. But all right, enough about that. Enough about the potential new format and everything else. Let's get to this. Ryan, did you see the Echo trailer? We tweeted it out at Dork Podcast. This was a character, of course, that debuted in the Hawkeye Disney Plus MCU series. You got the direct connection to Kingpin and Daredevil, but the Echo trailer for a show that'll be out in its entirety on January 10th. Did you see this trailer?
I did.
What'd you think?
And you know what was frustrating about this trailer? I wanted to grab Disney by their big, stupid mouse ears and be like, see that? That's what Daredevil should be. Mm-hmm. Fucking stop it. Stop it. What are you doing? That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Did you look at the big mouse ears of Disney and say,
grab his dick and twist it?
Exactly. Like, I want fucking... Oh, so did you hear too that this came out today that Blade, the Mahershala Ali Blade, is in fact going to be rated R?
Oh, it should be. I mean, it'd be crazy.
How can you do? He eats people for sustenance.
You can't do a movie about a half Dracula and have it not be rated R.
Like, no, Draculas kill people.
The Echo thing may have kind of saved the day because Disney Plus is jacking their prices. People are kind of on all these shows, and then you get Echo, and you're like, it's TV 14 or whatever the fuck it's called, TVMA 14 or whatever the thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me lob this one at you. They're also talking about doing what's called Marvel Spotlight, and there's going to be a bunch of shows and movies now where I guess technically it is in the MCU, but they're pitching it as you need no prior knowledge of anything else. Is that good or bad for what was the best shared universe of all time? It's obviously kind of fallen on itself with all the multiverse and all that, quantum mania and all that stuff. But now they're really trying to pitch it like, don't worry about that other stuff. Like, just jump in right now.
So it depends, because for me, like, one of the best things about reading comics as a kid, now I watch comics essentially, but like one of the best things about reading comics and like these shared universes, you talk about X-Men, you talk, like, for me, it's finding what you like,
Mhm.
and you could convince me to read Sleepwalker and be like, oh, this character's fucking cool, you check this out. And I could be like, oh, there's like, check out Wildcats or something like that on Image or something. So there's these a la carte things that we're kind of missing that don't have to be, not everything has to be tied in.
Right.
You can do one-offs, you can do fun things, and it doesn't have to be tied to everything else.
I don't know if it's irony, but I do find it humorous that Daredevil has been a part of the quote unquote MCU for so long that they ignored him at the beginning. There was like 15 years of stuff, it felt like. And now that he's going to be joining it again, they're going to be like, we're not really doing it anymore. It's like I know he was in Spider-Man, but like for the most part, he's never really truly been in the MCU because I feel like
And
now
he's in
they're kind of
She-Hulk too.
punching on him. He was in She-Hulk, which I don't think is getting a season 2, and they're probably trying to move on from that. It's
Which is
weird.
like, it's super weird. I think they're fucking up and they know it.
They're panicking because but they also set the bar too high. Like we've talked about this before on the podcast. Like they're the Patriots. Like the Patriots hit a point where you can't do better. I mean, I guess short of the undefeated season, but they were pretty fucking close. Like you can't do better. You can't win that much. And the MCU movies were so good for so long. You're like, but you can't keep going. And so now 2 other things that popped up. They were talking about maybe swapping out Kang because of Jonathan Majors off the field stuff and bring in Doctor Doom as like all of a sudden reintroduce introduce a new main villain for like the upcoming movies.
But I mean, this is a character that we've been I think everyone's always seen Doom or like Galactus as like the next thing, right? And doing Doom would be a great way to scale it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and that leads us right into the one group of people that we haven't seen yet in the MCU, other than we have mutants. We do have mutants, but
we have mutants. And we
haven't seen the Fantastic Four.
We saw one version of Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange.
Correct. I don't think it'll be John Krasinski. I think that was more fan service, but
correct. I agree.
I am interesting to see where that goes and who gets cast there, because we need the first family of the MCU in here
at some point. Now they also, this was another rumor on the internet, is that I think because they were looking at the movies not making as much money as they have been, they were considering the idea of bringing back all of the original Avengers for another Avengers movie.
And that's a cash grab. And again, I don't think if I'm
I don't want that.
I don't, and they don't want that. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is fine. He doesn't need the money anymore.
Yeah, I think they're done. And that would just be it'd be like, talk about shoehorning that in. It'd be impossible to make a story make any sense at all.
And from a business standpoint, I'm like, how do we get people to watch Ironheart? Now, if you've read any Ironheart, you know that like her Jarvis is actually Tony Stark. It's a Tony Stark construct, like AI.
Yeah.
So like, if you get him, I always say, if you get him back that way, he doesn't have to do much.
I guess
he's just a voiceover at that point.
Yeah, that's fine with me. And I'm sure he would be more willing to do that you could bang that out in a weekend. But like, I don't want that. Now, The Marvels comes out this weekend. It'll be our
most anticipated movie of the year.
That's what some are saying. People are saying. So how is this movie going to receive? I don't think it's tracking to make a ton of money.
It's not. It's tracking along the same numbers as The Flash right now, which is not.
So is this superhero fatigue? Is it, I don't really know where the MCU is going. Is it the last several MCU stuff has not been great? Because I mean, you just look at Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel, which I thought both were like solid. Like both were probably like 4.5 out of 6 for me. But I don't know. I think the trailer actually looks kind of good. Like I'm looking forward to it, but I do not feel much excitement about it.
I haven't heard. I mean, even if you just watch TV, the amount of press that they usually do for Marvel movies, I feel like they haven't done nearly as much for this.
I did reach out via Instagram. You can get us at Dork Podcast on Instagram. I reached out to Brie Larson to see if she wanted to come on the podcast. She didn't say no.
So there's still a chance.
I mean, she didn't say no. She didn't say anything, actually. So,
what would you talk to her more? I think I would talk to her more about Scott Pilgrim than I would about Captain Marvel.
I would talk to her about her Between Two Ferns interview with Galifianakis. Oh. It's an all-time
one of the greatest outtakes of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd talk to her about whatever she wanted to talk about, probably. Loki season 2, I'm way behind, but we'll do that in 2 weeks. I know it comes to an end this week. I'm way behind though. So do you want to do that in like 2 weeks? We'll do Marvel's movie that gets precedent, and then we'll do Loki season 2.
Yep, because it'll give me time. I'm gonna binge it.
Yeah, it's a binger.
Yeah.
It's a binger. Hey, also out right now is Invincible season 2 on Amazon Prime. They're splitting up season 2 into it's 8 total episodes. So 4 of them are out right now. 4 of them are going to be out. I don't even know when, but not until 2024. I've only seen like the first 15 minutes of the first episode. I haven't had time to watch it, but we both loved season 1. So just to remind
I
people,
watched the first episode.
All right, what'd you think?
It is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
We got some good shit happening here.
Yeah, it's a great show. Speaking of great shows, The Bear officially picked up for a season 3. They made that announcement today.
Fucking no-brainer.
No-brainer. I'll tell you, dude, this year it's going to be a really hotly contested TV show of the year. Don't you think, for the Dorkies?
Absolutely. It's going to be probably more than movies.
What happened there? Did I wake you up?
The time change is screwing me. I was at the Pats game yesterday. The time change is screwing with me.
Oh, you went to that fucking dog and pony show?
Ugh. Well, this is not to brag.
Sure, but you're about to.
My wife is good friends. Or one of her oldest friends is one of the Botticellis who owns Dom's Sausage.
Oh, okay.
As the official meat sponsor of the Patriots. So once a year they take us to a game, and it's pretty bougie.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
Get in there if you can. I like that.
Exactly. Get some good steak tips, and we're in there.
Fucking nice time.
Yep.
Here's another TV show announcement for you, Ryan. House of the Dragon season 2 is coming next summer.
Okay.
That's not bad, dude. I thought that was. I literally thought when the first season came out, and then knowing what it takes to make those shows, and knowing that they weren't like immediately reshooting it, and then when you added in like the actor strikes and everything else, I'm like, we might never see a season 2. So when I saw the tweet this week that this summer, it's already fucking November, so that's like 8 months from now, we're gonna get House of the Dragon. I'm in.
And like you said, this year has been such a good year for TV. I think we were talking about The Bear. I forgot that show existed.
Yeah, though we liked it. I liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It built, like, it was kind of slow in the beginning, then built up, and then towards the end, you're like, okay. When the kids all got older, and they had that really scary one with the patch.
Sweet dragon action. You got eye patch kids. You got all kinds of stuff going on there. It was pretty great. Speaking of great, we're Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes trailer. This movie comes out in May. Planet of the Apes action.
These movies are good.
Yeah, they are.
They're good.
It's a good time.
Even the Franco one was good.
Yeah. I think this is in the same universe as that. This is like a sequel to that. So I don't know if they're going to how much they're going to tie in, but they're in the same world.
Yeah. So. And we're getting almost to like the original Planet of the Apes, the Charlton Heston one.
Yeah.
Now the apes are like starting to like take over, humans are slaves and all that fun stuff. They're out there talking to each other.
Yep.
Full sentences.
Full sentences.
Yeah.
I like that. Josh in the chat, man. I have Rick and Morty. I've DVR'd it. I haven't watched a second of it.
Me neither.
No. There's like three episodes in, I think. Guy's fucking yawning his ass. We had Jan Gomes over here.
Jan Gomes.
Fucking Jan Gomes. Get it together, dude.
I'm trying. Jesus. All right.
You get like a Coca-Cola or something you can have?
Yeah, I do. It's in the fridge. I gotta go.
Go
Once
ahead.
once you get off on like a monologue, I'll just run off and get a Coke.
I got a lot of things I got to get off my chest. I'm gonna
Let me
do.
tell. I got a lot of problems with you people.
I'm gonna
Start
do
airing
it.
some grievances.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
Oh, real quick, let me toss this in there right now because this movie's in the theaters. I didn't see it, but my wife saw Priscilla,
Okay.
and she's such a big fan of the podcast. I asked her, I go, what would your score be? And she goes, out of what?
To be fair, every
I go,
time,
make
every
it
Monday,
100.
I'm
I
like,
don't give a shit. What?
my wife is like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I have the podcast." She's like, "Really?" I was like, "I've been doing this for fucking 8 years. 8 years." She's like, "Oh yeah, I always forget."
That's
Like,
tonight? Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, it
every
is.
time.
No, but once we figured out what the score was, she said 4.5 out of 6. She thought it was pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah, she liked it.
That's the one about like Priscilla Presley's story about being married to Elvis like early on and
Yeah.
how she was a child bride. No one talks about that.
She was 14 years old.
14 years old.
How
Here
is
we
that?
are. Here we are giving Edgar Allan Poe a hard time for marrying his 13-year-old cousin,
Well,
and you got
Mm.
the
like
king,
100 years later, the most famous guy in the world's with a 14-year-old. We just
and no one
glaze over it?
says boo.
No, people are like, "Oh, Elvis is the best, isn't he?" I'm like, "Is
Oh,
he?"
look at him. Yeah.
That
What a guy.
no,
He
no.
died on the turlet.
Yep, eating a banana, peanut butter, whatever he had
Peanut
sandwich.
butter, banana, and bacon. Have you ever had one of those?
Sounds great.
It will fucking change your life, but you don't want to have several of them a day as he was doing.
No, he put on some bad weight by the end, but
Sure did. He was sweating.
yeah.
That guy was just sweaty.
Oh, and you know what she said too? So we watched the Elvis movie together and neither one of us liked it. She said the guy in this movie that plays Elvis does a much better job than fucking Austin Butler, who sunk like 5 years of his life into that.
And it was also just so cartoony. Like that movie sucked.
Oh, the Tom Hanks role?
Oh, what was he doing?
I don't really know. I think he just was like, here's my chance. I've been working on a character. I don't care if it's based on a true person or not.
This
gonna
accent
go.
exists nowhere on the planet.
Nope. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. I had forgotten about that.
No,
but what do
it's
you
one of those things. Like I don't understand the idea of telling a story from the perspective of Elvis's manager. Like, who gives a shit about Colonel Tom Parker?
I don't.
Yeah,
I
who gives
don't
a
at
shit?
all. I don't.
Anyway, so where are you on Spider-Man 2?
30%.
Okay, I 100%ed it. Oh,
We need to
I
brag
was just
together.
so invested in this, and it was. Are you liking the story so far?
Dude, I love it. I love the
It's
game.
so
I'd be done too if I had like a little bit more time, but I love it. 30% in. It's been a blast.
The suits are great.
The suits are
I did have an issue. They're really good. I didn't know. So you were talking on the bright side. You said it's in Dolby Atmos, so your home theater actually kicks in with the. You can hear like street conversations behind you.
Yes,
Like,
dude. It's insane. So I played maybe the first 10% or so just on like whatever the regular settings are. And then
Yeah.
those guys were talking about it. One of DJ's co-hosts was talking about how he's playing the game. And all you got to do, most of the PS5 games now, I guess, they make it in that.
Yes.
But your default setting is something else. So you got to go into sound settings. So this is for everybody who has a PS5 and like a badass sound system. Go into your settings, your sound settings, change it to Dolby Atmos, and it was fucking a blast. It's cranked in.
Did you do a bike mission yet?
Yeah, I've done a couple of bike
Useless.
missions. I don't like the bike missions.
No, they're so lame.
Yeah, so you were like, there's a couple of borderline bugs, and it's funny. One of them, it was like such a nothing, barely even a mission. And this isn't too much of a spoiler. I'll just say I was Miles, and I was in like a setting with like kids and like other high school students, I mean. And I was just trying to like walk to a destination. I couldn't find where I needed to go. And then I got like caught in between people. And it took me forever just to like fucking shimmy out of there. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what is
so that's what happened to me. So in one of the bike missions, I got stuck
Yeah.
between like a garbage can and a light post.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't, it was like broken. Like I couldn't, I had to restart the game. But yeah, so that's lame. But
Great
I mean,
question.
the game, I finished it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Great. So I don't always turn the sound system up to full go because you're right. I'd wake up the whole house. So the question in the chat was, how do you not wake up with the kids? The one good thing, my house is not that big, but the Dragon's Lair is in the spot that's the furthest possible way away from both of the kids.
So you are there at opposite ends of the house.
And so our family room is directly above the Dragon's Lair. And so if my wife's watching TV, every time, I shit you not, every time I'm watching something or playing something, she texts me if it's thundering outside. I go, no, that's me.
Or she'll just do the broom on the floor, like smack the thing on the floor.
Fucking knock it off. I'm like, but yeah, anyway, sorry. So that I love it. There are like a little bit of kind of like glitchy stuff, but whatever. Like all the other stuff more than makes up for it.
Yeah. So the other video game news we get this week is Fortnite is somehow still a thing and went back to the original map. And they got something like 44 million concurrent players or something like that. Like it's crazy how much people are playing Fortnite again. And it was actually funny. I was on Twitter and I follow a lot of streamers. Like I used to follow all these streamers back when I was twitching and stuff just to see like what the deal was. And a lot of them kind of went away. And now all those people are back.
Interesting.
There's like a half dozen people that I used to follow that I haven't seen in a long time. Now they're back, like playing original Fortnite. So, and they have like Stranger Things skins coming out and all this stuff. And
Stranger Things Day today, by the way.
Yeah.
Stranger Things Day. Happy Stranger Things Day to everybody.
And then I started, since I finished Spider-Man, I started actually playing Alan Wake 2.
How's that?
Alan Wake, the original, is a kind of a cult classic. It came out like 2010 or something. Like the game's been a long time ago. And it was kind of like I think the rap on it was like, oh, we have like Silent Hill at home. Like it was like Angie's List Silent Hill, but it was actually a really, really good game. And I had no idea that there was a game I played for a while called Control, which was like, it was kind of it wasn't an indie game, but it was kind of a weirdo game that like people were raving about. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. I played it and I absolutely loved it. I had no idea that they were in the same universe.
Oh, I like a shared universe.
So the Alan Wake so this takes place 13 years after the original, clearly. And I got to tell you, it's like a psychological thriller, like murder mystery / horror survival game.
Oh,
and like you start out playing as this detective, and you're literally putting together like Pepe Sylvia boards, like you're doing the red string on like the cork board, and, like trying to make sense. And there's like a cult.
Oh, I love it.
In the Pacific Northwest. Like this game actually is fucking cool. So it's actually worth it to me if you're going to play this game to like watch like a 15-minute recap of like Alan Wake 1 and then play this game and how it ties into Control. Like it actually is worth it. But this game is actually like fucking good. So check out Alan Wake 2. People have started playing the new Modern Warfare campaign and says it sucks.
Wow.
So it's the game. These games suck. Stop playing them.
Stop playing them.
Stop playing them. They're terrible.
You know what I had like a brief sad about the other day is how much fun we had playing Overwatch 1 and how little I ever played Overwatch 2. And the time that I did, it was not that enjoyable. Whereas there was a stretch there where Overwatch, now we would get frustrated. Don't get me wrong. We'd get pissed. Mac would rage quit, but we would play a ton of Overwatch. I was looking this up the other day because you know how on PlayStation you can go to like your fucking library or whatever, and it says which game you've played the most.
Yes.
I think for both of us, at least on PlayStation, I know you have PC, but like on PlayStation, it's like Overwatch is like number one.
Still far and away Overwatch.
Yeah.
Far and away. And I think maybe like I'm trying to think.
I'll post those. I'll look them up later and I'll post them on Twitter what each of our top 5 games are. But
yeah, it's pretty.
Overwatch is like like the next 4 combined for me anyway, probably added up maybe to Overwatch.
But that's the minute. That's what we got.
It's a good minute right there. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for Bisque?
You ready for the topic du jour, Ryan? Also known as the bisque.
What is a bisque?
Yeah, it's like a chowder.
It's like a cream-based soup, I think.
Yeah.
Like a heavier soup. Yeah.
It's good. It's horrible for you, but it's delicious.
Oh, it's probably heavy creams.
I had like a lobster bisque that was like one of those like freezer ones. And then you get like whatever.
You get it from Trader Jose's?
Actually might have been.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of looking at the nutrition value on it.
You don't want to see it. A lot of fat, A lot of cholesterol.
Horrible. It's like 1,000 calories, and then it's like 1,200 calories from fat. I'm like, well, how can it be more than the
That
fucking
doesn't make any
calories?
sense.
That can't be it. Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today it is Gen V, the Boys spin-off series on Amazon Prime, which ran for 8 total episodes. We begin as we do with all of our movie and TV reviews, spoiler free. Ryan, Gen V, did you like it?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good,
Yeah,
he said with a
It was
tone.
good.
Okay, we'll dig
Some
into
things
that.
I liked, some things I didn't like.
I liked it. I liked it.
You just sound like you're asking a question. I
No.
liked it.
I liked it.
I liked it.
I liked it quite a bit. No, I liked it.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Let's dive in. Again, it does have a very similar feeling to The Boys, right? Like there is, like over the top kind of scenes, like very memorable things that you would not see in other shows. They're not afraid to go very, very violent. There's some like unique powers that they display.
Yep.
There's decent comedy. I don't think it's as funny as The Boys, and
Not
we'll
even
get into
close.
why.
Yep.
No, not even close. That's fair. Not even close. But I mean, the main reason why, actually, we can say that now. Main reason why is the characters. Like the characters, I think in this are good, and then in the characters in The Boys are great.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the big jump. That's the big change. Like the Homelander, we talked about this last week. Homelander is, I think, one of the. Let's do 6. He's one of the 6 best TV characters of the last 20 years. I say that with great confidence. He's insanely good.
I think was it Anthony Starr?
Yeah, it's like
Anthony
Starr.
What I like about this character is I fully believe that if there was a Superman, this is what he would be like.
Yeah.
Like how just like you are so fucking insignificant to me. Like just like and I think that's fascinating.
The muscles in his face than anybody has ever done.
Oh, just the look he has, that like his crazy eye.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that kind of took me out of the show more than I appreciate it that it's the same tone as The Boys, but there was something missing in the show. And I was thinking about it all day yesterday, and I finally pinpointed what it is, and I'll talk about it in spoilers. That's called the big market tease.
Wow. We'll stay tuned for that. Josh, real quick, says a bisque is a class of soups made from crustacean shells and sometimes thickened with rice.
Okay.
You asked what a bisque was, so
sure, there it is.
You get your answer.
A seafood bisque, a lobster bisque.
Lobster bisque is amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, like The Boys, I mean, you get the super we'll call it hyper violence is what you have in it. But I also love that the universe that they've created, there's a lot of shows, like a lot of comic books have done this in part because of the success of The Boys. Like that comic book came out a long time ago, way before the show came out. But the idea of creating a superhuman or superhero universe that's not Marvel or DC, so like isn't rooted in X-Men or the Avengers or whatever. Like Invincible is an example, and like Jupiter's Legacy is a shitty example. Although people who read that book like the book, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of non-DC Marvel superhero universes, and The Boys, I just love it. I love the idea of they're just like people pump their kids full of this like V, like to hope that they turn into something, and like hope and then like monetize them, and then all the superheroes are in like a corporation, like this whole thing. And like, you hit on how Homelander is what a Superman would be like here, but Garth Ennis, who created all this, is basically like he kind of hates superheroes, I think. And so he was like, this is what most of them would be like. This is how the world would kind of use them. And I don't know, I like it. And so Gen V at least is like a pocket of that, like that is clearly in The Boys universe. We can get into some of the references and things and spoilers, but I at least like that. I'm like, more of this Boys stuff is great. And there's even, if you read, it's a pretty like there's a ton of issues of The Boys. There's a run in there that is like loosely based off of this, where actually Huey, they use Huey to sort of like infiltrate it, and it's like the X-Men's like, I don't know if it was all dudes though. Was that all dudes? That's cool.
No, it was. What was the name of the team? It was another team.
Yeah, it was another team. Well, it was like the G-Men, right? The Godot, or maybe
I
it
don't
was
know if
like
it was
below
G-Men or
the
it was
team. No, it was like a shittier group. Like the
it was
G-Men
like
are
a shittier group, but like what's his name? Tech Knight was in it.
Oh, dude, Tech Knight. We'll get to Tech Knight
Yeah.
coming up. So yeah, this isn't as good as The Boys, but
No.
I still liked it quite a bit. I would dare I say I would call it must see. To me, it's on that cusp. I would recommend it to people, but I'd be like, if you like The Boys, watch this, understanding that The Boys is better.
And they've come out and said that the next season of The Boys takes place like 2 days after the events of Gen V. So it's a direct tie-in.
Yeah.
And we saw it on display.
Yeah.
Yeah, why that is so in the last couple episodes.
Right. What is your hashtag dork score for Gen V? And feel free to fire up your dork scores in the chat, or you guys can email us dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram @dorkpodcast. What you thought of Gen V?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going soft 5. Soft 5. So in the scheme of 5, so for people just joining the podcast, I have occasionally given out hard 5s. And so because our scale is to 6, sometimes 2, 3, 10 things could be a 5.
Yep.
That doesn't mean they're all the same. Some are better than some are
Correct.
not. But I'm going 5. I liked it that much. And I thought the last couple episodes, there were some things that kind of solidified that it's a 5. So 4.5 from Davey, 5 from me. We're getting some 5s in the chat as well. For season 1, anyway. I don't know if there's gonna be more of Gen V. Anything else non-spoiler?
No, sir.
Spoilers! 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 Here come the spoilers!
All right, so you get the whole idea, like the school for soups, and it's Godolkin University. And as you sort of meet a bunch of the students and everything else, you find out like the main kind of premise of this is that there is an underground, which is referred to as the woods, where they're doing testing. Like they're taking some of the soups down there, they're doing testing. It's later revealed that the character Shetty is trying to find something that can at first like make the soup sick, but then it's to fucking wipe them out, like some sort of contagious thing out there that can wipe out the soups. Which this, like, overall, I think it's a great idea. So if you're living in this world and you are not super powered and most of them are fucking jackasses, you're like, you need to be able to defend yourself. And some people are probably like, we don't fucking need, like, it's gotten out of control. So how can we have any control possible? This makes a ton of sense to me.
It does make a ton of sense, and I think the premise itself is good. Can I tell you what I was teasing earlier?
Yeah, please.
I think one thing that sets the boys apart from this and what makes the boys way better is a character like Huey, because there were no real. I mean, Indira Shetty was a human, but there was no humans. Like, you need that like control. You need that tether to like reality. And I think Butcher and Huey are like, they're just normal people. Or like, you know what I mean? So I think that it's normal people living in a superhero world and like how they kind of get one up on them. Whereas this was just like superhero dickheads. You know?
Well, it was it was like on a scale, right? Like they were all superheroes. Some were trying to save humanity, some were trying to wipe it out, couple in between. Well, it's funny too, because like the comic book The Boys, which I like absolutely love, the boys themselves take V, like they jack themselves up with V. So
and they did it last season. So Butcher and Huey did it last season.
Yeah. So they finally tapped into that. But like that was one of the early even premises of The Boys, is like, this is a group that can handle themselves because they can actually go toe to toe with a soup. Like it's a fair fight because they're also jacked up on the stuff.
And they hate them, you know? So but for me, I mean, this was just like, it's not that I say that I got bored. I just never had that like tether to like, quote unquote, like the real world.
Yeah, I get that. I did like the talking about Shetty wanting to do this is you find out that her husband and kid were on the plane that Homelander fucking let
Queen Maeve
and
ripped
Maeve
apart.
was on
Yeah,
there, and that was one of the great scenes, and it was so good for Homelander's like whole character arc because they're up there and you can see the people like, oh my god, we're saved, and then because things are going like and like Maeve, there's like good in Maeve, obviously, as we saw in
right.
the last couple seasons, but Maeve's like, well, we got to like save them or at least save some of them, and he's like, no, we can't save them all, like we can't save any of them. Like at this point, like we got to fucking wipe them out, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit, like the guy that's dressed as like Superman / Captain America is like, no, we're fucking this. We're destroying this whole plane.
We're destroying this plane, and there's like kids on the plane, and like
Yep.
people are
Oh,
crying, and it's a really tough scene to watch.
it's not. It's intense. It's
Yeah,
super intense. But I thought that was kind of a nice little tie-in. Also, throughout the series, they're showing like photos of people who went to Godolphin University, including Queen Maeve, A Train, the Deep. And one of the great jokes in the thing was, you know, hey, this is a place where like you could be here and then you could go to the 7. And like usually
right.
like people here that were at the top of their class, and it goes Maeve #1, A Train #1, the Deep #7. Fucking great. The joke anytime there's a joke at the expense of the Deep, which are all the jokes,
They're
it's
all the jokes. Like they just make fun of him the whole time.
the whole time is so good. But that's also kind of a cool concept too, is like the idea of there's a constant power ranking for the students there.
Right.
And like your only chance to join the 7 or like a real legitimate other team. There's a few other teams that I'm sure they'll dive into in future seasons of the boys that are like pretty good too. I mean, literally think about it as like Avengers, Avengers West Coast, X-Men, whatever, like that kind of thing.
X-Force. Yeah.
X-Force, Excalibur,
Right.
X-Men Blue. But yeah, I thought that was great. So they would show them. But you also, to tie this university together, or to the universe, I should say, you do get Homelander at the end. You get Ashley, who's been a pretty good character in this.
Who's been, I think, to me, the most rock solid character. She's just out of her mind at this point. I love
Yep.
that character.
Yep. Newman. You get Newman.
Mhm.
She's really good. Grace Mallory pops in there. And then there's that mid-credit scene where it's Billy Butcher. And I'm sure season 4 of The Boys is going to sort of pick up from there. But they all kind of come in later on in the series. Before we get to the students and like going through the good and the bad and the powers, which are a lot of like interesting powers.
Yes.
Tech Knight is wild. So Tech Knight's in the comic like a decent amount, and he's Batman, right? Like he's got sidekicks that are very much like different Robins. He's got all that stuff. He's like all the money. And in this, they make him like the world's greatest detective in a way. But oh my god, just so funny when he comes on the scene. It's like he's just such a fucking asshole. And that, but then speaking of assholes, it's kind of like what he's into. You know,
What
he's
he's
got
known for. He just finds a hole. He can't help himself. He's just gotta like, and I remember that from the comic too. That's like his thing. So he's like a brain tumor, and it's
Yeah.
pushing on the part of his brain that's like inhibition, and he just like bangs anything that's a hole.
anything that's a hole, tree knot,
Yeah.
whatever it might be,
Bagels,
bagels,
hand dryers, like But one of the things I wanted to go back to, one of the things I really like too about this is they had different schools of superheroes. So you could do the crime fighting, but you could
Right.
also do like the marketing and like the TV movie like stuff. So your ranking is not necessarily based on power, it's based on popularity, like how much
Yes.
you sell. So it has nothing to do with like your abilities, as we've seen
Oh.
with a character like Jordan, but
Right.
it's like it's how we can sell it and how like you're part of the 7 because we can sell you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny because like we saw it like when they were introducing Starlight to the 7, you got sort of a background into that, like why they were like why she was getting the push, like based on who was there. They want to make sure that like they have every demo kind of like
Yep.
checked, like why people would be interested in the 7, why people would watch the movies, why people would buy the merchandise, why people would be interested in all that shit. And so now you get even like a little bit like a step back from that, where like you get these young kids that are potentially years away, or because like they knew they needed like a spike, they're like, all right, just fucking throw somebody in there now. Like at the end of the show, they're like, just find somebody, get him in there. We can distract from the bad press because of what
Yeah.
happened with Golden Boy, and we can get somebody into the 7.
But it was great too to like a character like Jordan who's like
Yeah,
doesn't sell. You're not going to sell in Middle America as like a
right.
genderless or like gender
It was,
fluid. Like you're not
like
going
a
to sell.
bi-gender shifter was kind of like
Yeah.
how I think they were
But
referring
each gendered Jordan had different powers, which is
right.
cool in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, that doesn't sell in like the Bible Belt, so we're not going to do it.
Right.
Even though she was like, they were like the best of all of them.
Yeah. And was like always like constantly number 2 though, right? Like what like
Right.
behind Golden Boy, but then like that's when Marie jumps ahead. So let's go to
Right.
Marie because Marie is kind of sort of like the main character of the
Right.
series. Very hit or miss for me. I will say that the blood power grew on me. At first, I'm like, that's gross. But
Well, there was a reason why it grew on you once you figured something out. We're into spoilers now, so like
yeah,
once you figured out, and I thought it was lame to start. I'm like, that's kind of lame. Like that's a
man,
one note thing, but
it's
you then
incredible.
find out that it's the same thing that Newman has.
Yes.
The
So
head exploding.
not only is it the same thing as Newman has, but what I thought of, remember in X-Men 1, the first X-Men movie, remember how Magneto could control Wolverine?
Yes.
Remember like those scenes where he's like, he's like fucking nothing to Magneto because he can control him.
Yeah.
Ideally, Marie could do that to every single person with blood,
Yes.
which is every person, except for zombies and maybe some Draculas.
But she
So-
hadn't figured that out yet.
No, she doesn't know that yet. She doesn't know she can do
Yeah.
that yet. And obviously, Newman can like make heads explode and stuff. But like Marie, as the series went on, developed more of her powers. Like she had that scene with Maverick, who is the Invisible Man. He's translucent kid, and he's trying to like stop her. And then she eventually fucking like zones out, and then can like see his heart and just be able to like.
Or when
take care of him.
she could find the tracking chip because there was like a clot
Yeah.
in her shoulder.
But you
But I
knew
was funny,
something
like
early in this season because somebody was like, they were like, "When am I getting my period?" And she's like, "Come on." She's like, "Next week." Like, but like, so she could fucking like already, she could pick up clues on you. Like, she would probably know if you were sick or not. Like, and now
right.
is she probably has the ability to either blow up your head like Newman, or at least just like control you because she can control your blood.
Or remember, she was like, Newman said it was like, "Tell me something about me," and she's like, "You have compound V in you. Like I can tell it's in your blood."
Yes.
So I mean that's her tapping into it. But and initially I'm like, she's gonna keep cutting her hand and like shooting blood squirts at people. Like that's kind of dumb. But I liked the progression of that. Not my favorite character.
No,
Not my favorite character in the season.
Not my favorite character, but she definitely grew on me because the first couple of episodes I was like, kind of a tough lead. But then as it went on, and there was also that scene where like there was that final fight scene at the school, and there were all those kids like laying on the ground, and like obviously they were all like bleeding, and she's like, "Oh shit!" and she fucking just like gets all their blood up and go there. There's no character like that. Like that's pretty cool because normally in The Boys, you get like Tech Knight, which is a direct ripoff of Batman, or you get like a character. They're all direct ripoffs of Marvel DC characters. I don't think Marie is. Like, who the fuck does that?
I will tell you the worst character in this show. So there's once all the kids get out of the woods, there's a Nightcrawler, like a teleporter, but every time he teleports, he goes like 5 feet. Like if you watch him running around, like he does like the Nightcrawler, like he's running like an animal,
yeah.
and then he'll like, but he goes like 5 feet.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't even go anywhere.
Not good enough.
Like all he had to do was like zap into like bamf into like the helicopter and like get everybody, and he was just like he was just like outside. He was going like 5 feet.
Well, he's learning. He's learning.
Lame.
He's in school. He's in school.
Yeah.
Andre Anderson is the son of Polarity. He's basically Magneto powers.
Magneto. Yeah. Him and his dad.
But you
he even
find
does the
out
thing with the coin.
But if you use the power enough, it fucks you with your head.
Yeah.
They're in a bad way right now.
Yeah.
The best character, actually, there's probably two. The best character.
Who's your favorite character?
I go back and forth. I have two.
Okay.
Emma, Little Cricket.
I love Cricket. Cricket's my favorite.
She's fantastic. The big and the small, but she probably had the most comedy out of everybody.
Yes.
She was funny. There's obviously the very memorable scene of her shrunk down on the guy's
jacking him off. Yeah.
Which is not nice. That's not a nice thing to do.
Well, she slides down and hits him in the balls.
She did fucking
don't do
right
that.
on the old nutsack.
Yeah.
I liked Kate quite a bit. I thought
that's
Kate
a power that's a date. It's like a rogue power, but like a Jean Grey and a rogue at the same time.
the ability that it's not just mind control, but all she has to do is touch you, and then whatever she says to you, you do is it's sort of like it reminds me of Preacher when he chooses to use the voice of God,
Yeah.
which is also written by Garth Ennis. But no, she was really good because it was funny. She was like, she was like Golden Boy's girlfriend, and then she was like with Andre, and then you find out that she was actually working with Shetty the whole time, and
Mhm.
then she like apologizes, and then they hated her, and then she fucking flips, and then she's like, "Fuck it!" Like they were out to get me, so I'm gonna go get everybody,
Right.
and like unless Marie really harnesses her powers, and maybe she will, Kate's the most powerful out of all the ones on this show. Like that is an insane fucking thing to have.
So I think so. The way this ends is they're all like so the Guardians of Godolkin.
Yeah,
It's
great
like
name.
Jordan, it's Andre, it's Marie, it's
And
Emma,
That's it.
and so they're in a room, and she's like, "Where are the doors?" So I think they're in Kate's head.
Yeah, they were. That was a cool episode. They were in there once
Yeah,
before, and she had Soldier Boy in there with her.
humping
Soldier
the
Boy's
pillow.
like her imaginary
Yeah,
girl or imaginary friend.
yeah, he's still an asshole. Even
Yeah,
even
no
fake
doors.
Soldier Boy's an asshole.
Soldier Boy's an asshole.
Yeah.
So that is a cool ending. How like the whole thing. So like Homelander goes there, is able to like fuck shit up. He
Oh,
blasts Marie, and yet Marie survives that.
just
And
the
then
look on people's faces when he shows up too.
so good.
Like everyone's fighting, there's blood everywhere, people are dying, and then he flies in, and everyone just stops.
So good.
There's like, oh shit, and like everyone's like kind of like looking at the ground, like they're gonna get yelled at, and he just like he does something like he just holds up his finger and just like waves his finger. There's like nope, and just like oh shit,
And then he's like, he has a great line. I forget what he says to her, but basically like you're attacking like your own kind of thing.
yeah.
And
How
then
powerful you're attacking your own kind,
yeah,
yeah.
and then he blasts her. But then like how they spit it in the media and like the whole thing is like so
Oh, I know
media
what he said.
oh
He said, "What kind of animal are you?"
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm sorry. And then he just shoots her with his eyes. And Andre even says something to her like anybody else would have died. He's like, you somehow wore
yeah.
that. But yeah, so they trap those four, and now the new Guardians of Godolkin are Kate and Sam, who is Golden Boy's brother, who hooks up with Emma. He's an interesting character too. I don't know exactly what his powers are, but he's like pretty fucking powerful.
He's pretty powerful. He's hulkish because he does like the leaps, and he's like super strong,
Yeah.
pretty invulnerable, but like clearly schizophrenic.
Yeah. Oh,
So
the scenes where like
the
the people
puppets.
turn into puppets. Amazing. He's having
I
sex
saw that on the trailer. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" But then it made sense, you know. And
when
he's,
Emma
he's
turns into a puppet during the sex scene. It's incredible.
or when he's doing the thing, like he's a puppet. He's like he's like decimating this entire like SWAT team,
It's
and
awesome.
he's telling him about it. He's like, "I ripped a guy in half," and then he goes, "But to be fair, he was a puppet at the time."
Yeah. No, really good. And then yeah, you mentioned so like Jordan's powers, I think one of like there's like a fire kind of projection with one
It's
of
like an
them.
energy projection,
Yeah.
and she's like fast.
Yeah.
And then when they turn into the male version, it's like immovable, like
Just like you
indestructible.
can't
Yeah,
hurt them, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's pretty good. So do you think would you prefer season 2 or would you like I guess or see some of these characters in The Boys?
I fold them in, I think,
Yeah.
and then because they're eventually they're gonna have to all take down Sam. I'm guessing
I mean, Sam and Kate working together is a pretty tough duo.
because if you think about it, like Kate could cure him. She could just touch him and be like, "You're not going to see puppets anymore."
She could.
And
Dude,
then who? And then he's like, "Yeah,
now her power is insane. She told the one guy to eat his hand, and he's just eating his hand.
yeah," or it's like
Wild.
hit yourself in the dick with a bat and say Jumanji every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
But
So
again, it fucks with her head. Her eyes start bleeding. It's weird.
well, no, I think that had more to do with the medicine that she was on. Because remember, they were like, because when she was,
Right.
I think once she's off the medicine, she can actually she can do that for a while.
But she can also like hear people's thoughts.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that.
You say that you would want that, but you can't turn it off.
No, it's like Sookie Stackhouse and True Blood.
Yeah, like you don't. I don't want to hear that.
That's why she was with vampires, because she
Yeah.
couldn't hear vampire thoughts.
Right.
Yeah, that's a double, like, that power on its own is pretty impressive, but like then her ability just to tell you what to do, fucked. Fucked. Do you think we'll get any of this in season 4, or do you think do you think season 4 of The Boys is just going to kind of skip over this? I mean, they did mention.
Oh yeah, no. I
Yeah.
think they're going to, because if
Address this.
they're going to address it for sure, because they need them. They need to know what they saw, like how this is working, because Kate knows everything, right? So they need to know how to get to her, right? So they need the 4 of them.
Yeah.
But I think they said she's walking around with all of them in her head.
Right.
So they're in a room somewhere, like asleep.
No doors. Yeah, they got to be inside of Kate's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to, like, Kate and Emma are probably like the only 2 I would stack up, because then on the other, like, between Homelander and Butcher and Mother's Milk and Maeve, the Deep, like Frenchie, the woman, like they're low, like the characters on the other side are loaded. Plus whatever bad guy they bring up, or like whether it's like Soldier Boy or what the fuck was the girl's name? Like the
Nazi.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
they've had good characters over there.
They have, yeah.
Elizabeth Shue in the first season.
Woo.
Huh.
Speaking of Mother's Milk, am I right?
Oh yeah, good point by Taylor. Kate, Marie blew her hand off. She's like trying to make her not touch forget Andre maybe or somebody, and she fucking just blew her hand right off.
That was Jordan.
Jordan might have been Jordan. She was like reaching out to somebody. You don't know what she was gonna do, and she like
never got there.
No, didn't mean to, and boom. She blew the guy's dick off.
That was a good one.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Guys,
and then they never talked about that again. Like, what was the recovery time there for that kid?
I bet still in recovery.
Yeah,
I guess. You don't walk that.
He was
off.
another one. So he was the one who was like
he's
like a human roofie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a bad guy.
That's a bad guy. That's a bad guy.
Yeah,
it's good, but I think it's as good as it is all right as it is for me. It is absolutely a must watch, because you need to kind of know this stuff going into The Boys.
Right.
I think.
Right. Let's see. The Boys season 4. Do we have a date on this? That'd be the big question.
And it's the one thing I love about Amazon is they release dates for things, and they're always way sooner than you think they are.
That's true. I do not see a date yet. Son of a gun. Son of a bitch. It's all right. We'll get there. We will get there. Oh yeah. So now it's gonna be like Homelander's kid is gonna be a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know who's in the next season is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Who's he playing again?
I forget.
I forget too. They said he's in that though. Anyway, all right, very good. So 4.5 from Davey, 5 from me for Gen V. Let's get to this.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the pod.
All right, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose at this time to defend a goal?
Well, it is my month, so I'm going to go first. And again, so we got 2 picks of the pod. I'm going to drop this bad boy in the chat right now. It'll be on my Twitter bio as soon as I remember to do it. So I'm giving you the link for Movember, which says the comment has failed to post because it's a link. It's a link, so that's why it won't let me do it.
Yeah,
lame. But it is more. So we off to a bit of a slow start, which I'm thankful for everybody who's reached out, everybody who's like said they're going to donate. All it's all great. We got all month to do it. But again, the point of this is just it's more than that. It's more to raise awareness, to start a conversation, grow your mustaches, make it look dope, make it look weird. And so I had some kids talking to me, well, it'll look weird if I have a mustache. Like, it's not going to look right. I'm like, that's the whole point. The whole point is that you don't look weird. Be like, what the hell are you doing? And then you start that conversation. So
that's kind of like a Rod Beck you got going on right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little Rod Beck.
Well, the family said they didn't like just the top lip because it looked a little porny, is it what my wife said. So
got it. That's less porny. The handlebar.
Right. This is more like You
I
know,
don't
don't
know.
mess with me.
It's a certain
You know.
type of porn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so thank you all to those who are getting involved so far. We're gonna be doing this all month, so thank you in advance for all of your support. Now, the thing I'm watching right now was recommended. Speaking of
Well, I was
Spider-Man,
gonna say real quick, right?
Yeah.
Real quick. Now, I don't know if you want to get into this part of it, but isn't there there's gonna be some sort of matching element to the
Yes. So a listener of ours who would like to remain anonymous, correct? If I'm correct in saying that,
I
we
think
will not
so.
say this
Yeah.
person's name on air.
He wants to step
Said
up
that
his game, he
they're
doesn't
very
have
much
to.
involved,
Yeah.
very much involved with the charity, and will match up to $2,000. So if you, as a Dork podcast community,
Yeah.
can raise up to $2,000, this person will match it, and it's a very generous thing.
Seriously.
It's an incredible gesture by this person, and we would be remiss if we did not bring it up. So do what you can to raise money this Movember, and just know it's going to a good place. It's going to a good home, raising awareness for men's health. And believe me, if you look at their financials on their website, 90% of it is going towards research and hopefully finding a cure for these things.
No, but that's always awesome to hear. And like, if you're thinking about donating and you're like, well, I can only give like $20, like great, like your $20 is now $40, like your $10 is $20, or like what, like think about it that way is pretty sweet. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I'm watching, I started the recommendation. Speaking of Spider-Man, so my friend Eric, who works at Marvel Games, he's kind of a bigwig over there, recommended the show to me. It's a new show on Netflix called Blue Eye Samurai. It's an animated show.
All right.
About it takes place in the 1600s in Japan, so it's very Kill Bill-ish.
Oh,
if you're into that. A great voice cast.
Okay.
Including George Takei.
Okay.
Is one of the so if you're into like it's an animated show, so if you're into like animated shows and samurais and heads getting cut off, this is for you for sure.
Right.
There's 8 episodes. I've watched 2. It's great. Check it out.
Sounds good. So this is sort of the opposite of the pick of the pod. Here's something I watched that I think you can just skip. It's sort of the don't list. So I watched A Haunting in Venice. As you know, I try to watch as many movies that come out in the calendar year as possible. It's currently streaming on Hulu. I saw it pop up and I'm like, I'm going to give it a go. I've watched all these movies. This is the third in the like Agatha Christie, like Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the River Nile.
Death on the Nile, yeah.
They're all written and starring Kenneth Branagh. And they all have pretty big casts. I would say this is the weakest of like the star-studded cast.
Yep.
None of these movies are very good. You know me, I love a whodunit. I'm an absolute sucker for a whodunit. These movies kind of stink. Now, this one was a little bit more spooky, so it's like a little bit more like just on the tail end of Dorktober.
Trailer looked good.
You could skip it. Skip A Haunting in Venice. Was not really worth it. You know what's weird? Kenneth Branagh, like watching him. So he directed both these. He directed the first Thor movie.
Sure did.
Wild. Absolutely what? Tina Fey's in this. Tina Fey does a good job.
That was the one thing that stood out to me.
Yeah.
Is that like that's an odd choice.
Kind of odd. I also read Alan Sepinwall's review of the new Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone TV show. The Curse. He was like, it's not a comedy. And so that's all I had to read to be like, what the fuck? It's really weird.
Like,
it's like a show about a couple who has like a house flipping show and all the issues that like they have. It's really odd. And like Benny
seems odd to me.
Yeah, it seems very odd. So I don't know if I'm going to watch that because I know it's on Showtime, but then it's also on Paramount Plus, or at least it either is or will be soon. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm all set with that.
Yeah, I got enough stuff. So next week we'll do the Marvels. The week after that we'll do Loki, and then hopefully the week after that I'll be done and we can do Spider-Man 2.
Oh, let's hope so. I got a lot to talk about here.
All right, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. And again, next week could be somewhat different. TBD on that.
We'll see. See what the bigwigs say.
Maybe the exact same. Maybe a little bit different. You'll have to tune in to find out. Not really sure. Yeah. So that'll do it for us. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at Dork Podcast. And send us your should I have bought this as well, dorkpodcast@gmail.com, something that you bought recently for at least $25. Right, you don't promise me a million times over you will never do another rule.
Yeah, man, I can't promise you that.